So today we're going to be taking you through a step-by-step approach to paint Flank March's Soviet Motostrelki, who are mechanised Russian infantry, perfectly for bold action.
Hi guys, my name's James and welcome to the Distant Vale.
To start off with, we've just based the miniature with Vallejo Surface Primer German Green Brown, and we've just done a top to toe with an airbrush, but you can do this with a big flat brush. Straight into the painting, we're going to start off by doing the skin. It's a lot easier to focus on the skin straight away because when it's finished, it's just quicker to then move on to everything else. We're going to start by basing the face and the hands using Citadel Bugman's Glow or any dark flesh tone, and then we're going to build up with other tones after that. To highlight the skin, we're going to add dark flesh and then a little bit of flat flesh, and basically highlight up in layers, focusing on the brow, the nose, chin, digits of the fingers. When we finish doing this, we're then going to move on and do the eyes. I've not shown it in this video, but it's really simple, same way that you do eyes on any 28mm miniature. Line of black, line of white, and then a dot black. Now we finished the skin, we can move on to some of the other details. We're going to use US Olive Drab to paint the helmet. Once we've painted the helmet, we're going to use German Camouflage Ochre Beige, a bit of a mouthful, to paint all of the satchels on the miniature, including the radio pack on the back. This colour is essentially replaceable with a lot of different colours, and there's a PDF guide that I'm going to put in the comments from Flank March Miniatures, and I've used some slightly different paints just because of what I had on hand. For the webbing and the rifle wood, we're going to use Vallejo Flat Brown, and this is basically going to tie in with the German Camouflage Ochre Beige that we've used before. Just making sure that we're really careful not to go over the surface primer beforehand and try and keep it as neat as we can. For the boots and any black on the miniature, we're going to use German Grey. German Grey is more of a blue grey rather than a black, and it makes a nicer finish, more like a black leather than just using a standard Vallejo black paint. By this stage, we've blocked in all of the main colours on the miniature, and you could just leave it as is and it'll probably look quite good on the tabletop. However, we're going to move on to highlighting all the different areas and really trying to make it pop.
By now, you know how it works. If you wouldn't mind hitting like and subscribe, that is amazing. It makes a massive difference to a small channel like us and makes it worthwhile doing what we're doing.
For the first highlight, we're going to go over all the fatigues in the uniform using a mixture of the base colour, which was a German green brown, and some dark sand. And we're going to just do fairly chunky highlights, mostly on the front aspect where the light's shining on it. And again, looking at all the creases of the fabric. This can be a fairly quick process. It's not something that needs to be really neat, especially if you're bulk painting a full squad of these like we were. When it comes to highlighting the pouches, we're going to use a mixture of dark sand and the Camouflage Ochre Beige. Most of the steps as we go through here, the highlight colour is actually just a combination of the base colour and dark sand or ivory. With this, compared to the fatigues, we're doing a lot more edge highlighting and just trying to make a little bit more contrast, especially on the back, just to make sure we can make out some of the shapes of the objects. For the straps to the webbing, again, flat brown and using a little bit of dark sand. What I forgot to mention before is when you're painting the magazine, it's more of an orangey brown, so we use light brown, and again, when highlighting that, adding a small amount of dark sand. For the helmet, US olive drab, and you guessed it, more dark sand. Again, with highlighting the helmet, it's more of an edge highlight on the rim, and then a few specks here and there just to denote a little bit of battle damage, rather than trying to get a really nice blend. With the boots, again, almost like don't need to say it anymore, dark sand and German grey, and again, similar to the fatigues, focusing on the creases of the boots, just to try and get some contrast. I use Pro Apple Bronze for the belt buckle, the cuffs and the buttons on his tunic, and to get a really nice deep rich red on the epaulets we used a combination of Sanguine Scarlet and Demon Red. So using the Sanguine Scarlet as a base and then the Demon Red as a highlight. These two thin coats are really nice reds and they kind of match up with the Citadel Mephiston red. Moving on with some Nuln Oil to wash the blacks. And to wash the remainder of the miniature except the skin, we're going to use some Reikland Flesh Shade. Now you can use the Reikland Flesh Shade to shade the skin, but you'll want to go back over it with the highlight colour again just to make it out, because otherwise it'll darken it a little bit too much. The reason we're using the shade is to basically try and homogenise all the different paints we've used, because some are gloss, some are matte, it all comes together. You can apply a coat of matte varnish after this, but that's about it. So I think it's time to have a look at the final miniature.
Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and hope to see you again soon.